सिलेबस से हटा सकता है बट दिल से हटा नहीं सकता.
This is not an astonishing thing. When Siddaramaiah became the chief minister, every time chief minister takes his total administration is vendetta. Not only regarding education. You can see everything.
First up, I want to go across to BC Nagesh, who is the former Karnataka Education Minister. And remember, the Bommai government brought in some of these changes and revised chapters. So the Congress has decided that they will remove these chapters on the RSS founder Hedgewar. They have also said that there's no reason for these chapters to be included to begin with because he was a coward who wrote apology letters, etc., and that he was not a freedom fighter. Now, your government brought in these chapters, Mr. Nagesh, so how would you justify bringing in these chapters and what the Congress government is doing now? What is your response on that?
First of all, I want to say you that they have not read the textbook at all. Not only read, they have not seen the textbook at all.
Okay.
They doesn't know what are the lessons we have brought in the textbooks. They want to appease some of their leaders and they want to make even the textbook as an vote bank for them. They are playing the vote bank politics even with the children. Because we have not introduced any text on Hedgewar. We have not put anything regarding RSS. But still they are speaking like that only because, as you know that, Hari Prasad, who was the leader in the upper house, was waiting for the ministership. He continuously tried for that, but he was unable to get it. So now he wants to appease his bosses, particularly Sonia Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi, etc. To appease them, he is speaking like that.
Okay.
He is a very good friend of mine, but still he wants to do some business there, so he is speaking like that.
But what will you say on the issue of Hedgewar himself? The Congress says that he doesn't deserve to be in history textbooks. So why did you bring in a chapter on him, and what do you think of what the Congress is doing?
No, again, I am telling you, we have not brought any lesson on Hedgewar.
Right.
Still, I am clarifying to you that we have not brought any lesson on Hedgewar. We have put some content of his speech in our textbook, so people, students, while selecting the others, how should they select? That's all. But unfortunately, they have not studied the lesson. They have not seen the textbook, but they are commenting on that. You ask them the straight question, what is there in the chapter? In that chapter. Ask them what is there in that chapter.
Okay.
See, that one minute.
Right.
Yeah, no, not because of that. We had removed it. They had removed a lesson on Vivekananda and had introduced a lesson about Nehru. We removed Nehru and we introduced Vivekananda. I think because of that, to take the revenge, they are doing like. Secondly, as you know, this time people have not elected Congress, but they have selected Congress because of their false promises. Since they are unable to fulfill their promises, every day you are saying, they are unable to fulfill their promises, so they want to divert the people to other subjects. So they are taking this as an issue.
Okay.
As you know, that Education Minister has not seen the textbook at all. But he speaks about the textbooks.
All right, I'll leave it at that. You're saying that this is not to do with what is there in the textbooks, but this is more because they have a problem with the RSS, or you're saying this is more because of the fact that they can't, do what they promised otherwise, and that's why they're diverting it. I'll leave it at that. You're saying there is no chapter on Hedgewar to begin with. It's just about his speech and just a portion of that. Let's open this up to our guests joining us. Let me go across to our other guests joining us. Gopal Krishna Agarwal is from the BJP, Dhruv Jati from the Congress Party, Professor Geeta Bhatt is an academician also joining us, and Dr. C.B. Sharma is an educationist also with us. Let me begin with Dhruv Jati. Dhruv, you just heard the former education minister. He's saying there's actually no chapter on Hedgewar. They have not glorified him. They have not even tried to glorify the RSS. There is a chapter on how to select a role model, which has an excerpt of Hedgewar's speech on that. So why are you so anti even that speech in the textbooks?
It's not about being anti-speech in the textbook. It's very simple. Under what specific quantitative data did the prior education committee add the specific passage? Mr. Hedgewar has no relation to Karnataka in any way, and education is a state matter. If that was the case, they could have added a verse from any other person across India. Why is it just that they added it under Hedgewar? It's a reason of ideology, and this ideology that they're trying to infuse in the minds of young children is not going to work, because they cannot wake up one day and change their mind saying that, okay, we're going to add this. This is not North Korea in any way. The textbooks put together have been consistent throughout, but it was only under the last year of the Bharatiya Janata Party's leadership where this took place.
But what you're saying now is different from what your Congress leaders are saying. The education minister is saying something else. B.K. Hari Prasad is calling him a coward and saying, why should I put, there be a chapter on him, let them prove that he was a freedom fighter, etc. What you are saying is entirely different. So what is the reason for removing him?
It's context to everything put together. The education minister clearly said that education is a state matter and that it shouldn't be polluting the children's minds.
So how is it polluting the children's mind? Is it your contention that only Congress leaders' statements can go from history?
Not at all. It is. No, I will reiterate to what I said. Mr. Hedgewar's contributions to Karnataka, A, and B, the fact that they could have taken anybody's excerpts, but why so? That of a specific ideology that they've put into the textbook. And Mr. Hari Prasad has every right to have his opinions and his views. He's a tall Congress leader. If he feels so that he is a coward, then that's his opinion and that's his view. Who are we to tell Mr. Hari Prasad that he can't say X, Y, Z?
Fair enough, but I want to understand what the government's view is. I'm a little confused because now you're telling me a third thing. You're saying that because Hedgewar has nothing to do with Karnataka, therefore we don't want him in the books. So I'm a little confused. By that yardstick, a lot of people will not make it.
Shwani, not just the third thing. I think there are 200 reasons as to why Mr. Hedgewar shouldn't be added into the book, and don't be surprised if you hear more. And this is just going to pile up simply because that they brought in ideology into a picture when young children...
See, everything is ideology. Dhruv, let's not be kids. Everything is ideology. Okay? So I don't think that your argument that this is ideology per se justifies removing someone from whose excerpt of his speech is in the textbooks on a topic called who is a role model or what is a role model. But let me bring in Mr. Gopal Krishnan of the BJP. The BJP has obviously taken, huge umbrage on the fact that the textbooks are being revised, but also on the fact that Hedgewar has been dismissed as some sort of an apologist for the British government and also a coward, quote unquote. Your comment on what has happened today?
So we have to understand that what is history? It has to tell. If his logic is that only Karnataka people will be there, then why they will teach anything about Chanakya, Chandragupta and other things? That's a quite bizarre statement that I heard just now. The thing is that when there is an ideology or there is an organization which has almost more than 36 organizations nationwide and even at an international level on every field, and it has made influence on every aspect of the Indian life, whether it is Vidyarthi Parishad, whether it is Kisan Morcha, whether it is the Mazdoor Sangh, whether it is Vidya Bharati, whether it is Vanvasi Kalyan Ashram, whether it is Sanskar Bharati, Shishu Mandir, all these, even BJP. they belong to one RSS parivar which has some ideology or anything, which is ruling the country for 9 years in many states. So you don't want the people to know about that ideology. What is the purpose of the whole history if you are not telling about the thing which are existing in the country? Why that is acceptable? You can say we do not, but Congress government is a deciding factor, or the BJP politician. It is the academicians who have to decide what is the content of the book.
Yeah, but fair enough. But you know,
just one more point I want to say is that the whole history has concentrated within that period. We have a 3,000 long years of history, Indian history, where so many great leaders, even Chola, Vijayanagar, so many big empires, which were prosperous, where India was a prosperous country. That period of history is completely blackened out from our textbook, and a period where more emphasis is given, where we have been languished by the invaders.
Yes, I understand all of that, but let's not get into that because that's a very broad subject. We'll derail this debate. I just want to focus on political ideologies.
Ideology is a very prominent ideology in the current scenario.
Yeah,
people should know about it. That is the only point that here.
Fair enough. That's indeed a legitimate question to ask. So let me go across to a couple of our experts also joining us. Mr. C.B. Sharma, I'm coming to you. You know, this whole thing that this is so-and-so ideology and this is so-and-so ideology is not justification enough to remove anybody. You may dislike an ideology and disapprove of it, but that does exist in this country. It has a rightful place to exist in a democracy, and wholesome education will be if you hear from all sides. So this would be actually a very, very poor example to set, that just because you disapprove of somebody's ideology, you remove them.
I am pained to hear that one party comes to power and removes some chapters, another party comes to power and then includes other chapters. Unfortunately, politics has become the mainstay of, the education has become the mainstay of politics. This should not have happened. What I expected when a new government comes to power, that government will do something about development. Now, let me ask the questions. If these chapters were included, were they political decision or academic decision? Who decided to include hedgewar and who decides to exclude hedgewar? If hedgewar deserves to be there, that had to be an academic decision and not a political decision. I don't think politicians need to answer this question, why was hedgewar included?
Right.
The main issue is that because governments are not able to do any work towards development, they are not able to prove to the people that they are involving in development of the state, the people, they get into politics of curriculum.
I understand. One second. Can I just...
a University Grants Commission which decides on curriculum of higher education, and you have academics there. But school education is invariably chaired by a politician who wants to score point on political grounds, and they do it. Have you ever heard any controversy about higher education curriculum? No, because school education is the domain of the politicians. They do it and they defend it. Remember in 2004 when the Congress came to power, they removed the national curriculum framework.
Yeah.
They designed a new curriculum framework. How can you do that with a nation? I would again reiterate, because political parties are not able to deliver on grounds of development, they get into curriculum because this is a very, very fertile area to do politics.
Right. Okay. Just wait 1 second. You made a very important point. That also reminds me, I think the new education minister in Karnataka has also said that the NEP, which is the National Education Policy, will not be implemented in Karnataka. But I'll leave that aside for now before we learn more on that. But Dhruv Jati, please explain. Now, why is it that when the BJP was in power, you said academicians should decide, academicians and decide. Here, the chief minister chairs a meeting and decides this all will go. Is that then not a purely political decision? Let the educationists decide?
No, quick update. What was said was that a committee was directed to be formed to look into the controversial content, and that a report should be submitted within a week. Now, you had political or right-leaning figures in the Bharatiya Janata Party's previous committee, and that is Rohit. I don't know his surname, but yeah, he was a right-leaning activist who was, heading that entire committee. So, where is the credibility question that you should
And
be
who's
asking
heading
them?
your committee?
And the committee is being headed by a bunch of academicians, and
So they are not leaning one way or the other, right? Because they are your committee.
Shivani, the report isn't even out. I don't think there's any reason to get so excited yet.
I take objection to the fact that you brand one person or other person as so leaning and that leaning. Again, I'm telling you, Dhruv, let's not kid ourselves. Everybody has a leaning.
No, of course, everybody is entitled to their own opinions. But my question to you is, when the Bharatiya Janata Party themselves removed excerpts of, let's say, Guru Basaveshwara, who is so renowned in Karnataka, where was the question that was asked by not just you but different media persons?
No, I remember that we asked them questions on what grounds it has been done. It was a controversy then too. This is also a controversy. But I asked you a different question. You are saying a committee has been set up that will look into quote-unquote controversial chapters, and then a decision will be taken, right?
Yes, of course.
What did the previous committee do?
And that's the committee.
Okay, so you're saying your committee is better than the previous committee. Again, this is a slippery slope because each government will feel so. But my question is that if that is the case, why have senior Congress leaders, including the education minister, come out and spoken their mind and delivered a judgment? Then you've obviously told the committee what the government wants to do.
The judgment is that of the committee, which will decide in a week's time. The education minister is responsible for education in the state, and he has every right to come out and speak about what is best in the interests of children. And he has every right to do that.
But then you politicize the decision. Then you've already told the committee this is what we want and this is how you need to do. That's exactly what Mr. C.B. Sharma is talking about. But I'll come to what he raised in just a bit. Geeta, but your comments on the whole attack on Hedgewar itself. And as I mentioned at the start of the show, this is a long-standing issue. The Congress has often said this repeatedly, and I think they said it before the Gujarat and the Karnataka election campaigns also, that, we fought for freedom. What did you do? And they posed that question to the BJP and the RSS. So has the RSS also failed to kind of correct or revisit the narrative that you were not part of any freedom struggle at all?
Shivaji, it has been very unfortunate that the heroes of the national freedom movement, they have been made part of textbooks, history textbooks, or removed from the history textbooks at the whims and fancies of the Congress governments ever since independence. And they were hand in gloves with, the communists in this. Now, you see, Dr. Hedgewar, he was, twice he had gone to jail during the freedom struggle. In the year 1921, when Gandhiji had called for, and that time he was a Congress leader, mind you, he was part of the Congress party. And for the non-cooperation movement, for that he went to the jail for 1 year. And when he came out of the jail, the contingent which had gone to receive him, Motilal Nehru was part of that contingent. And there was a proper ceremony which had happened outside the jail. There were speeches which were made, and he was, it was welcomed that he has come out of the jail, and so on and so forth. He was, you are running that clip that he was part of the, Anushilan committee, which was a revolutionary group, because he did his studies for medicine from Calcutta. And therefore, at that time, he was part of the revolutionary group. Even after that, even 1930 also, he again went almost for 1 year, he went to jail when the civil disobedience movement was called by Mahatma Gandhi. And at that time also, he was, it was called as the Yavatmal Satyagraha, in which he had participated. So, see, now the most unfortunate part is that it is at the whims and fancies of political leaders that what happened in the history, what happened in our freedom struggle, who participated, how much one contributed, is being decided solely by politicians
alone. Okay.
So this is something
which
is very, very
Sharma raises a good point that maybe we should do away with this control, at least for senior secondary level for schools, and politicians should not have control over it. I think the NEP anyways makes this policy a little bit more seamless than what it is right now, because Dhruv very rightly said it's a state subject. So the state governments should have a right to decide what is taught. But unfortunately, we cannot view history from just a state's perspective, and then on top of that, political perspective. But Dhruv, Very quickly, please respond.
Shivani, can I make a quick point?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Shivani, read
I also want to
the
say
Secondary
something.
Education Commission report, which was on secondary education, and the commission strongly recommended that education of school children, the teenagers, cannot be a subject of states. They are national citizens, and the nation must decide. Unfortunately, we have ignored that comment. We only accepted Radhakrishnan Commission, which was on higher education, created the University Grants Commission, which prevails. But in school education, we still say it is a state subject, which should not be. We are ruining the career of children by making school education an agenda of politics just because it is in the concurrent list.
Okay, fair enough. And I think the NEP kind of does look into this because it looks into it from the 10th standards onwards. But I'll leave that aside for now. Dhruv, the larger question that the Congress faces is that if the person is not associated with you, disagreed with Mahatma Gandhi or the quote-unquote moderates of the Congress at the time, as I mentioned earlier, then they can be discarded. I mean, for the longest time, it is argued that the Congress didn't even give Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose his due just because that was Nehruvian politics. Dhruv, that is for you.
I didn't get your question, Shivani.
I'm saying that for the longest time, the Congress is accused of ignoring those who were not part of mainstream Congress, even congressmen who disagreed with, let's say, Mahatma Gandhi's policies. And even somebody like Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, it is argued, was not given his due honor for the longest time, even though he was a congressman, just because Nehru disapproved of him.
Not entirely true. You must look at the syllabus that was formed in 2013 when the Congress party was in power in Karnataka, from Netaji to Nehru to various leaders who actually fought for freedom were put into the textbooks, and they were in fact a part of the education system put together. Let me remind you one thing. The whole revision of the textbooks was an election issue as well. The Congress party reiterated it multiple number of times. If the people of Karnataka were so unhappy with, let's say, such type of decisions, then I don't think they would have voted the Congress party to power. It's as simple as that.
No, fair enough. I am not questioning that. You have all the right to make this an election issue and fight an election on it. I have no problems with that. But you fought on other issues also. There are questions being raised on your guarantees, for example. That's another debate for another day. Mr. Agarwal, you wanted to come in. How does the BJP plan to fight this? Because, you know, the problem is that the BJP obviously wants to revise, quote-unquote, history of India, make it more Indic, and obviously give due to others who have been left aside. But you've not done anything with Indian history books for the longest time when you've been in power.
No, Shivani, we just want to tell that history was written. There is a consensus among the historians and other people also that history had a bias for certain people, their agenda and their own political interests. So, and they had left out many of the portion in a history which India has a 3,000 years old history. Everything cannot come. You have to select some part and leave something. But you have to give weightage to everything. But what last point that I want to make is an organization, an ideology which has such a prominence in the current scenario. You may agree with it or not, but you cannot completely blacken out.
It's not really about who's in power now. I feel that at the time during the freedom struggle, there were several strands and all strands should get their legitimate place.
Yeah.
Young students should be able to understand that there wasn't any one way to fight the British. There were multiple people doing multiple kinds of things and all of their contribution can be recognized without demeaning one or the other. It doesn't take away anything from Mahatma Gandhi, for example. But there were others too who had their way of fighting the British. So you can't just, you know, brush everything else under the carpet and say, no, there was only one strand of freedom struggle. It wasn't so. And all of us are learning that. In any case, I've run out of time. I do thank our guests for joining us. This is an interesting debate and a larger debate about history and control over it in India. But I'm moving on to the other big issue that has come to light. 4 opposition ruled states are under scanner after the NCBC has claimed discrepancies in the OBC quota implementation. The National Commission for Backward Classes has found that in West Bengal, Bihar, Punjab, Rajasthan, a large population of OBCs are being deprived of reservation benefits in government jobs and educational institutions. The discrepancies were exposed after the NCBC conducted field surveys between February and May 2023. So what exactly does this survey reveal? First, West Bengal, the survey claims that Rohingyas and Bangladeshi immigrants have obtained OBC certificates illegally. The survey has also concluded that 118 out of the 179 castes in state OBC lists were from Muslim community alone. In Rajasthan, the NCBC survey claims that not a single person has got a benefit in 7 districts of the state. The state was considering also entire families' income to provide OBC certificates, which was obviously making sure that a lot of them did not avail the benefit. In Bihar, the state was giving flawed certificates to Kurmi caste members. The state government was even considering agricultural income of class 3 and 4 employees for OBC certificates, and this has been happening since 1993. Again, something the commission has said is faulty. In Punjab, finally, the OBC community has been given just 12% reservation. The SC community has 25%. The commission says the total of 37% reservation has been given so far. So Punjab government has been directed to increase the OBC quota to 25% because states do have a cap till 50% reservations available. Soon after, the BJP has slammed Mamata Banerjee government especially and claimed that the TMC is indulging in appeasement politics. The TMC says that the quota has nothing to do with appeasement. The BJP has claimed that Hindus do not matter for CM Mamata Banerjee. The TMC says that this whole quota list and the communities in them have been decided after considering the Backward Commission's report. So after the NCBC has exposed discrepancies, and especially in states ruled by opposition parties, is there a misuse of the quota for votes?
केंद्र सरकार ने जो ओबीसी आयोग को अधिकार देने के बाद में और 27% का जो आरक्षण संवैधानिक स्वरूप में देने की वजह से उसका हम जब रिव्यू ले रहे थे तो राजस्थान में हम जब गए थे तो राजस्थान में नॉन क्रीमिलियर ओबीसी के प्रमाण पत्र बनाते समय एक बड़ी गलतियां चल रही थी, अनदेखी हो रही थी।
Is totally false. Muslims have been included in the list of backward classes, OBCs in West Bengal. This was done with the approval of the Backward Classes Commission.
So a major political row has erupted, and of course the BJP is saying that all of these opposition parties that claim to be with the backwards and attack the BJP for not doing so are actually not doing what the commission mandates for. So Tom Varakan of the BJP is joining us, Sujata Paul of the Congress Party, Riju Datta is from the TMC, Ajit Khanna is an activist and professor in JNU, and Geeta Bhatt, professor, also continues to be with us. Let me begin with Riju Datta. Riju Datta, the biggest allegation has come against the TMC, that there are mostly Muslim categories in the OBC section, and that in itself raises an eyebrow. What is the defense for this?
No, my first question is, who's saying this from the BJP? Who's saying this? Is the Prime Minister, Home Minister, who's saying this?
Who's saying that this is a problem?
Yes, who's saying this from the BJP?
Several BJP leaders have objected to it. They're suggesting that this is because of appeasement of the Mamata Banerjee government.
Not several BJP leaders, only one person, a two-bit troll called Amit Malviya. Nobody else, and I don't know what is this locus standi in the BJP
But
itself.
the report is also mentioning, but the report is also mentioning that several illegal immigrants have got OBC certificates. They've talked about Rohingya and Bangladeshi immigrants. I'm guessing they're also Muslim. And then they're also saying that 118 out of 179 castes in the state OBC list are from Muslim community. Is that not a problem?
No, but I do not understand this. You know, from the, let me give you an example. For the tribal, Dalit and the Adivasi communities, when Trinamool Congress came to power, the total budget allocated for them was 300 crores. Now it has gone up to 1900 crores. So backward class people, if we support them, if the West Bengal government support them for education, why is nobody talking about the central government cancelling all OBC scholarships. We give special OBC scholarships. We give special soft loan of 20 lakhs to
But
even
are you
tribal
picking and
students who want to
choosing?
pursue education.
Are you picking and choosing who's in that OBC list and who gets that benefit?
I will be very honest with you. BJP has understood that the people of this country are shutting their doors to the BJP. So now, to counter that, their narrative of polarization, they have come up with this new tactic. It is baseless. And everything that has been done in Bengal is as per the Backward Class Commission. If they have a problem, they can go to the court or they can do whatever they want. But the bottom line is, the people who are backward classes are included in the backward class list by the Backward Commission. All that Adivasis and Dalits are included in there for the same thing. Now, I will raise one more pertinent point. You know, there is a Kurmi Andolan that is going on all around the country, especially in Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh and Bengal. They want to get involved in the ST quota and they want their language to be, included. Now, Bengal has submitted a CRI report already. They have asked for a justification. Thus, we have given the justification to the central government also. My question is, the Kurmis are not Muslims? Then why BJP is not including the Kurmis who number into millions into the SC category? Why they are not including the Kurmis?
Let me take that to Tom Varakan. Tom Varakan, two questions. One, the question he's asking on the Kurmi agitation. And the second is the allegation that you are raising against the TMC government, that, you know, so many Muslim castes included in the other backward castes, that just shows that this is for appeasement.
The NCBC has got constitutional status in the year 2018, and it has a reach across the country. It is not the Bharatiya Janata Party that has taken this up. This is a report that has come from the NCBC. So let's not make it political. Now, about the Kurmis, this is an issue raised by the commission. And I think it is a matter of fact whether they are Hindus or Muslims is not the issue. The issue here is about reservation. Now, there has been a mechanism that the TMC has adopted, which is essentially to favor a particular community. The Rohingyas, the Bangladeshi migrants, and this has been a process that's going on for some time. And who gets the benefit? These people are supposed to vote for the TMC. This is all vote bank racket.
Okay.
And it's been going on for some time. Now the NCBC has woken up. I charge the NCBC also of waking up too late to an indicator that the original OBCs are not getting a place and quota.
Okay, I want to come to that central issue.
According to the Constitution of India.
I want to come to that central issue. Basically, the body is indeed suggesting that those who are eligible, those who are deserving, those who need this. One second, Richu, please, 1 second. 3 guests have not spoken. They are not getting it, but politics has, ingrained itself so much that these benefits have become so politicized that one, you can agitate and get included, etc., etc., and reservation and caste keep increasing only, and this has become a never-ending business. The second is that those who are eligible and deserving are not getting. Ajit Khanna, I want to come to you. The panel's report is pretty indicting on several issues. For example, in Rajasthan, it says that in 7 districts, nobody's even got the benefit. And the way the income of the entire family is being calculated, it excludes a lot of people who would have otherwise deservedly got the benefits. What do you make of the findings of the panel?
Yeah, before that, two quick points. Why this reservation? To rectify the past and the injustice against the backward classes in India, reservations were introduced. Now, in 1992, the Supreme Court's constitutional bench of 9 judges, mind you, 9 judges affirmed the government decision by 6:3 majority in its ruling, believing, this is the crux of the matter, that caste was an acceptable measure of backwardness. I'm quoting verbatim the constitutional bench decision.
Right.
Now, what is that state is denying to OBCs? OBCs are not caste. It is other backward castes. So what is right now, as some panelists said, it is the electoral gimmick, political gimmick by one particular party. I will not say Congress or BJP or Communist Party. Everybody does this drama. So this is the election time. One more, less than 10 months left or 11 months left. So this is the time to polarize OBCs because they know very well OBC is a large chunk in this country. It's a shame that we still go to people and beg in the name of caste.
But as an activist, are you worried that, you know, a lot of castes are being included either for vote bank politics and those who are deserving and truly backward are not getting the benefits? Is that a concern you have?
The biggest joke is Biren Singh wants to become ST. I'm just giving a sarcastic message here. Maites want to become ST. How on earth suddenly you claim that you are indigenous? For the last 200 years, if at all I say that Hinduism entered, Maites converted to Hinduism 200 years ago or 300 years ago, as far as my knowledge goes, suddenly you become indigenous. Suddenly you become tribe.
Okay, but that hasn't happened. That's still a fight. My point is not whether people can fight. My point is our government's misusing it.
I'm coming to this point, Shivani. Kurmi is asking for SC or Maite is asking for ST is back to square one.
Okay. Geeta, but before I go to the Congress spokesperson as well, the BJP believes that, you know, there is a whole fight going on, you know, these categories where even converted people, you know, avail of these benefits. Right. And then what is the issue of caste then if you've converted and take these benefits? That's a separate fight going on. Then there is this report that comes out that suggests that the deserving are not even getting it. In states like Bihar, for example, the deserving are not getting, the cutoffs have been decided by governments in a manner that the most deserving are not even getting these benefits.
Shivani, I think this is a very serious issue, and since it is the OBC Commission chairperson who has, you know, raised these flags, this needs to be taken very seriously because you see the government had set up the commission in 2018 with the basic idea that it is important that all those who have been, you know, historically deprived of, you know, education and of a good living, that they should be able to covered in it. Now, if you remember that even a Rohini commission was constituted by the government, and its preliminary report, it suggested that only 40 out of the 6,000 castes and subcastes under the other backward classes, out of this, it was only 50 of them which have been able to get more than 50% of benefits in educational institutions, in admissions, and also in reservation in government services. And the other aspect that has been flagged by the OBC chairperson, that is that, you know, it is he who has reported that in West Bengal, he was informed when he raised that we are not against any community, but why is it that more than 65% of the OBC certification has been given to Muslim community?
Is that not an imbalance? Okay.
Yes, it is an imbalance. And also,
let me just take that to Dr. one more time.
You know, I just wanted to add was that he raised it that he has been informed that it is basically many Hindus who have converted into Islam.
That's exactly the question I was asking you.
So it is this is a huge fight.
I think this is sub judice as well. This is sub judice as well. What should happen to those who've converted? But Riju, one more time before I bring in Sujata Paul as well, that there's an imbalance.
I'll tell you where the imbalance is. You know, the points that have been raised here, you know, during the 2021 elections, the Prime Minister and the Home Minister categorically raised the CA and NRC issue for the Matua community that once they come into power, they will make them citizens of Bengal. Now, my question to Mr. Vadakan is, the Matua community voted and the representative of the Matua community, Shantanu Thakur, is a union cabinet minister. Yet you are calling them non-residents of India. Point number one, please answer.
No, that's not related. You can't raise these issues and not answer the issue we're talking about.
1 second.
No, I'm sorry, Riju. You have to stick to the subject.
I'm coming to the subject now. The second point is, this commission says that Bangladeshis and Rohingyas are getting OBC category here. How is this Bangladeshi and Rohingya infiltration is happening in Bengal? Is Bengal government
but that doesn't mean you give them OBC certificates.
No, is Bengal government responsible for protecting the borders of the country?
No, you're not. Nobody's blaming you for that. But there is a concern on ground that there are illegal immigrants who are getting these, and both of them, that have been highlighted are Rohingya and Bangladeshi immigrants, and the charge always is that the TMC benefits from
That
this.
is the incompetence of the central government.
Anyways, you've made your point. Sujata Paul has not spoken. Sujata Paul, there is also a very serious question mark that has been raised on the government in Rajasthan. That in Rajasthan, 7 districts, people have not got any benefit at all. Not a single person has got. And the way Rajasthan is considering entire family's income is depriving deserved people of the benefits.
So, polarization and communalization is the antonym of appeasement politics as defined by the BJP. And this is, a funny concoction, because I can remember that in the 90s, it was Mandal by one party and Kamandal by another party. Now, BJP, I think, has made that list right from that time. Maybe the Prime Minister has kept a watch on all the issues that have troubled the country. And now they've decided that in the run-up to the 2024 elections, they will use both Mandal Commission matters and Kamandal Commission.
But
Kamandal
this is a
matters.
matter that is very important to you too. You obviously
complete.
talk about the OBCs and the backward classes. The charge against the Congress government is that you talk about them, but in your own state government, you are not giving them the benefits.
No, let me complete. So the fact is that the NCBC has been formed in 2018. It's a constitutional body and it has been formed for this very purpose. Because look at the chairman, Hansraj Gangaram Ahir, talking about appeasement politics being the cause in Bengal. In Rajasthan, they've spoken about 7 districts. So 7 districts, that means, are flourishing. And we might be giving reservations to other communities in those 7 districts. So I'm not even sure about that, because this has to be studied really, This is too short a time. 21% is what the OBCs get in Rajasthan, and people don't seem to have a problem with that. But I am amused that they couldn't get anything from Chhattisgarh. So let's understand that OBCs are other backward classes.
The fact that Chhattisgarh is not included because they didn't find anything problematic.
Because they find something, exactly.
So that's good, no?
That's a good thing, no? And Rajasthan,
but that doesn't mean you shouldn't accept the criticism that has come in for the Rajasthan government.
I'm accepting. That's why I'm sitting here to answer your questions. We don't run away from anything. But what I'm saying, Shivani, is that this means that OBCs, that means other backward classes, if they're not getting the OBC status in 7 districts, that means that in those states, those people have managed to come out of that section of being backward.
No, that doesn't work like that. And also the report says that the way you're calculating the income in itself is faulty. So maybe there are deserving people who are not getting the benefit. Mr. Tom Varakan, I'll give you 30 seconds, sir, please, to respond to what both the opposition parties are saying. I have limited time.
Well, in Rajasthan, it is a software error, I'm told, because the income was calculated. In Bengal, they say, well, we don't have any records of who all got converted. Very convenient answers to the commission. And now the point is the country is supposed to buy this. And if Chhattisgarh has not been checked on or focused on, the Congress, Sujata Paul, has a problem. Now, what the commission has to function.
Please let him speak.
Function
he didn't interrupt you. Please let him
beyond politicization. We are talking about the people and reservation for those who deserve it.
Okay, I leave it at that. I've run out of time. This is a problem. This needs to be set right. But it's such a tinderbox and hot potato in politics that literally, nobody is able to set reservations right, because there are a lot of problems that are happening. Let's hope we're able to give it to the deserved and nothing else. I thank our guests for joining us. Have to slip into a very short break. On the other side, we'll get you a special report, a health advisory that has been issued by the government for Amarnath Yatris. It includes things like banning chole bhature and others. Why? We'll tell you after a break.
Jaka, yes, they do know, but there is a battered wife syndrome also. That women also get used to these kinds of behavior of their partner. And that is the syndrome, and they really need counseling from a psychologist if they are going through it, because they are used to. these men, what they do is when they misbehave with the woman, the second time they will, they will pardon themselves, they will say sorry, and they will again shower them with gifts and love them, and they take them back. Women take them. That is called battered wife syndrome. And many of our girls, even in Shraddha's case, we have seen that she was going through tough time with that boy, but still she was living with that person. It was because of that. They don't know that they have to go to a counselor, somebody and ask help. They don't know how to walk out of that relationship when they are beaten up, or they are harassed mentally or physically.
One other thing that we've noticed, ma'am, is that oftentimes these kinds of victims of such harsh abuse, they are secluded away from their family, from their friends. They have no support system of any kind. What are the signs that one needs to pick up if somebody happens to be living in an abusive relationship, there is physical violence and so on? What should one look out for?
In every relationship, it is very, very important that a person has support system, whether from family or friends, and share their problems to the persons they are close to. But in Indian society, especially women don't, share their problems outside a relationship. They think that they have to protect that relationship from outside world. And even if that is abusive relationship, they don't share. So first thing is, if you are feeling that somebody is abusing you, even verbally, you should walk out of this and share it with your friends. It is very important because they will give you a suggestion, and family also need to support their children.
All right.
If they are supporting, these kinds of things will not happen. Earlier also I said, and many people disagreed with me, which is okay. But families need to support their children, even if they are having a live-in relationship. In that way, I think they will be able to share if they are going through any problem.
Okay, Rekha Sharma, we'll leave it at that. We'll see how this story plays out. This is, of course, the latest in a series of very, very violent crimes, almost inhuman crimes, where not only is the victim, the woman in these cases, murdered, but also the body is disposed of in the most brutal of fashions.
The murder of Shraddha Walker sent shockwaves across the nation. Her partner Aftab murdered and then dismembered her body, dumping her parts in a nearby forest. Now, a similar horror has emerged from the Maximum City, where a 56-year-old man has been arrested for allegedly murdering his live-in partner and chopping her body into pieces.
There was a tree cutter, there was a saw cutter that was present inside the hall as well as the bedroom. There was a polythene, there was a black plastic which was put on the bed. Her hair were cut and kept there. There were parts of her leg which were being found by the cops.
इन्वेस्टिगेशन में ऐसा रिवील हो चुका था कि एक कपल था, लिव इन रिलेशन में रह रहा था उधर. उनका आइडेंटिफिकेशन हो चुका है. अक्यूज्ड को भी अरेस्ट किया गया. जो डेड बॉडी के पीसेस मिले वो एनालिसिस के लिए हमने जेजे हॉस्पिटल में भेजे हैं.
The accused, identified as Manoj Sani, was staying with 32-year-old Saraswati Vaidya. Decomposing body parts were found in the home, and the police say the murder could have occurred 2 to 3 days back. Police have recovered 13 body parts and are trying to find where the rest were dumped. As per the FIR, the police have recovered a tree cutter that was smeared with blood and say that human flesh was kept in a bucket near the kitchen. Sources say the accused used to boil the body parts in a cooker in an attempt to hide the smell. But the neighbors raised the alarm.
मैंने फर्स्ट टाइम इंटीमेट किया था, मतलब मेरे को स्मेल आई थी, तो मुझे ऐसा लगा था कि हाँ कुछ इश्यूज है इधर, लेकिन मुझे लगा नॉर्मली कोई माउस और चूहा मर गया रहेगा तो उसकी स्मेल आ रही, स्टिंग आ रही है. लेकिन 2 दिन कंटिन्यू आ रही थी. वो कैसा आ रही थी? आफ्टरनून और नाइट में आती थी, मॉर्निंग और इवनिंग में नहीं आती थी.
Forensic teams are trying to unearth more evidence, but the accused has floated a theory that Saraswati committed suicide and he did not want to be blamed for her death. The police is not buying it.
एक ही बंदा है मनोज सानी करके और उसकी वाइफ थी वो सरस्वती वैद्य करके। सरस्वती वैद्य की उसने हत्या की है और उसने उसका डिस्पोज ऑफ करने के लिए उसका पीसेस करने का ट्राई किया है, ऐसा प्राइमरी इन्वेस्टिगेशन में निष्पन्न हुआ है।
From Shraddha Walker to Saraswati Vaidya, both women targeted by their partners, then murdered in the most barbaric fashion and butchered to hide the evidence. The big question remains, what explains this mindset? Bureau Report, CNN News 18.
Before we open this up to our guests who will be joining us in a moment, I want to...
Welcome back. Amarnath Yatra is set to begin from July 1. A health advisory has been issued for the annual Yatra by the Amarnath Ji Shrine Board, and the authority has banned a series of food items that could prove detrimental to the health of pilgrims on this arduous trek. This move comes after nearly 42 pilgrims died in 2022 during the Yatra due to natural causes. The government insists on a mandatory requirement of compulsory health certificate and has taken steps like installation of oxygen booths and setting up of hospitals at various locations along the Yatra route. The health advisory for this year is another step to ensure that pilgrims eat right during the pilgrimage to be fit. My colleague Aman Sharma from News18.com is also joining us. Aman, as I mentioned, there have been 42 deaths last year. Did the government find some link in what the Yatris were eating and the subsequent deaths?
There are natural causes to these deaths, and it's a very high number. Though about 3 to 4 lakh people visit the Amarnath Holy Cave every year for this Yatra, and this time it is starting from July 1st and it's a 62-day long Yatra. But 42 natural deaths during any pilgrimage is a worrying figure, and there are multiple reasons for it also, because it's a very high altitude trek, it's an arduous trek, it's a very steep climb. The government, I think the Amarnath Shrine Board, what it's trying to do is by banning all these items which we have mentioning, aerated cold drinks, crunchy snacks, be it deep fried fast foods, sweets like jalebi, halwa, puris, chola bhaturas. People while they're climbing this trek, these kind of items can actually worsen, the conditions for them already in a very challenging climatic atmosphere, and that is what the government's health advisory to people is. And all the langar organizations, all the shops and the vendors, on the route which will be set up to serve food to people, none of these items will be available at any of those stalls or will not be served to people during those langars. That Amarnath Shrine Board is in fact advising people to eat healthy, eat light. A number of items have also been specified what all should be eaten, which gives in fact better, more strength and more ability to people to take this arduous trek to the Amarnath Shrine.
All right. Well, you'll have to cut out a little bit of what you like, but then it would be for a good cause. Aman, thanks a lot for bringing us more details on that story. You can read more about it on News18.com. On that note, time for me to take your leave. News Epicenter is coming up next.
You're watching News Epicenter with me, Maria Shakil. The communal battle lines have returned in Karnataka with a fresh controversy over textbooks. After the Congress party's stellar victory in Karnataka, the new government plans to undo what it calls the BJP's saffron agenda. Earlier, there was the furore over the anti-cow slaughter laws. Now the Congress turns its attention to school textbooks, namely lessons on RSS